What's up guys, it's me, Kłowcyn, and I apologize for being MIA for a week. I've actually didn't have any time at all to record most of the things I was doing in the garden last weekend, as well as most of this weekend, and that was due to the fact that I just decided to take some overtimes at work just because I'm kind of in need of money at the moment. So taking a couple of overtimes really helped me to feel a bit more financially stable in these troubled times. And I did a lot of things around the garden last weekend as well as this weekend. Didn't record them at all, like myself doing it. So this will be a different type of video. I'll just be showing you footage of what I did. I just recorded the finished product when I was doing the things around the garden. So one of the changes that you'll probably notice is that the peas are already gone. Last weekend we harvested the last remaining peas that were still on the plant, and then I got rid of it. Then I was finally able to transplant the climbing beans into their final position by this rose arch that will now serve as a support for the beans. So I'm super excited about that. I'm happy that the climbing beans are doing well. I had 4 of them that really germinated well from my original climbing beans. Out of the whole packet, I was only able to get 4 beans to germinate and grow. One of them didn't come out very well. I don't think it's gonna do great, but last week I also bought another bag of climbing beans. It's a different variety, and I was mad about not being able to have any climbing beans, so I was like, whatever, I'll just put them directly into the soil and see what happens. Luckily enough, 5 out of 6 that I planted actually germinated, and they're growing really well right now. So I added the ones that I had in the pots also in here. So now we have roughly, instead of the original 6 that I wanted to have there, just so that each bean climbs up one of the supports, I think I have around 5 on each side, which shouldn't be a problem. I think it's gonna be okay. We'll see. If not, it's a great learning experience for me for next year, just to be more careful with beans and really ensure planting them properly so that I don't waste the whole packet of seeds with almost no results. So then I removed all of the spinach from the other raised bed. It was already time for it to go. There wasn't no use for it anymore. I also noticed there were a lot of strawberry runners already rooting into the soil in that raised bed, so I removed them and I put them into pots so that we can have strawberries in a pot as well. So those are in a pot and hopefully they'll grow. Then we're still harvesting a ton of zucchinis, like it's crazy. Like last week we harvested 3 huge zucchinis. This weekend we came and we had another 3 huge zucchinis, and I'm expecting next week to have even more zucchinis as well. So the zucchini production has been really steady. Very happy about that. We actually grilled some zucchini yesterday with some sausages, and it was perfect. It was really delicious. So having a ton of zucchinis is no issue for us. My girlfriend actually preserved a lot of them, so that's been going great for us. And we finally have our first ripe tomatoes, so I'm gonna pick those a bit later on and we'll do a taste test of our homegrown tomatoes. I can't wait to try them. Then the chard is growing insane. It's got some massive leaves. I've harvested a couple yesterday, so we'll be taking those to Prague to eat throughout the week in salads. And there's a ton more chard that's waiting to be picked. It's growing beautifully. I'm really happy about the way it's growing. It's delicious. We actually also grilled the charred stalks along with the zucchini yesterday. That was delicious. Actually marinated them in a bit of sauce and oil, so it came out perfect, crunchy, delicious. I think we're gonna be doing more of that. So that's pretty much all I've done. And another thing is that our blueberries are actually finally ripening. I already ate one yesterday, really delicious. And throughout this weekend, over the course of just 2 days, there are even more that have ripened right now. So I'll show you that a bit later on, and I'll also eat a couple of them just so that you guys can see the taste test. And the potatoes in the container are starting to die off. I've read that once the plants die off, you can wait a week and then the potatoes should be ready to harvest. So it seems to me that in a week or two, I'll be able to harvest some potatoes from that container. I'm very excited about that. Already saw one potato poking out of the soil. So I at least know there's one potato, and that's enough for me. I'm hoping to get at least 1 kilogram of potatoes. That would be awesome, to be honest. So one thing I want to get on camera, just so that you guys see what's been happening. I'll be removing all of I forgot the name. I'll be removing all of the radishes here. Since I removed the peas, I'll now remove the radishes. They're pretty much done, ready to harvest. And in their place, I'll be putting in 3 rows of bush beans, because I have 22 huge bush beans already growing in those pots. And I kind of made a calculation that it'll be perfect to get 3 rows of 7. And there's going to be 1 left over that I'll either fit in one of the rows or I'll put in another place in the garden. So that's what's been going on. A lot of the tomatoes that started growing here on their own, that just randomly sprouted, I took them out of this bed and put them next to the other tomatoes. So I've transplanted around 5 tomato plants that were growing here into the other raised bed. And there are still 1, 2, 3 tomato plants in here. They are already very big and they're flowering, so I'll just be leaving these here. The stress of transplanting them into the other bed is probably gonna delay them by a couple of weeks. So that's what's up, and yeah, gonna stop talking and I'll harvest these radishes and put the bush beans in their place here. I'll also be putting some compost and more soil over here, just so that there is enough fertility and everything, so that the bush beans can grow beautifully. So let's go ahead. Alright guys, that is it for this week's video. I know it was a shorter one, and it is what it is. I did what I could, and hopefully it'll improve in the next coming weeks. But I'm really happy about how the garden is looking. We've been harvesting a ton of produce, as is for a beginner. Kind of thrilled and honestly impressed with myself that I've been having such great results. And yeah, the peas are now planted. Hopefully they'll grow along really well. I'm gonna wait like a couple more minutes until the sun isn't as strong, and I'll water them. Just if the sun is strong and you water it on the leaves, and it can burn them, so I'll have to wait a couple minutes before I water it. So yeah, that was pretty much it for this week's video. I also harvested the broccoli because it started to flower. It's a really small head, and I attribute that to not moving it into a larger pot much sooner. I noticed that it was quite entangled in its previous pot, and I potted it on into a larger pot. So that's a learning experience for me in the future. It was a very interesting experience to grow broccoli. There's still a couple of more heads, smaller ones that are growing, so we'll get a little bit more broccoli, but it didn't turn out ideally, but that's fine. Next year is gonna be much better. So I'm really happy about how the garden is growing. It's been amazing, and it'll continue being amazing. Still have a couple months left in the season, and everything is going great. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, like, comment, and subscribe, and see you next week. Take care, guys. Oh, it's so sweet. It's so sweet. Doesn't compare to store-bought tomatoes at all. It's so delicious. I'm gonna leave half for my girlfriend.